It's January 1st, 2026. You wake up, you check your bank account, and it's basically the same mess it was a year ago. Same stress, same where did all my money go confusion, same feeling that you're running on a financial hamster wheel going absolutely nowhere. Now imagine instead, you wake up January 1st, 2026, and you've actually got your act together. Emergency fund growing, debt shrinking, investments quietly doing their thing, and a plan that doesn't make you want to hide under a blanket. That's what these 10 moves are for. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do before the calendar flips, so 2026 feels like a level up, not a rerun. Let me introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is 28. She's got a decent job, a phone full of apps she doesn't use, and a vague sense that she should probably be doing something with her money. But every time she tries to figure it out, her brain does this. Sarah isn't lazy, she isn't dumb, she's just overwhelmed. Sound familiar? So we're going to walk Sarah and you through 10 specific moves she can make right now, before 2026, that'll make future Sarah way less stressed and way more financially secure. Think of this like a video game checklist. Complete these 10 quests before the year ends, and you unlock financially slightly less anxious adult. Let's go. Sarah's first problem is embarrassingly common. She has no idea where her money actually goes. Payday arrives, money lands in her account, she feels briefly rich. Then 2 weeks later, she's eating instant noodles and wondering if her bank account has a leak. Spoiler, it does. It's called not having a budget. So move 1 is simple but powerful. Do a full cash flow reality check. Here's what Sarah does. She pulls up 1 month of bank and credit card statements. No judgment, no shame, just honesty. She writes down money in, her paycheck and any side income, money out, everything she spent, grouped into categories: rent or mortgage, utilities, food, groceries and takeout, transport, subscriptions, debt payments. Wait, what is this charge? Usually when people do this for the first time, they discover 3 streaming services they forgot they had, a gym membership they haven't used since February, and way more money going to food delivery than they'd like to admit. Think of Sarah's money like a bunch of monkeys running around with bananas. Right now, she has no idea which monkeys are helpful and which ones are just stealing fruit and running off into the jungle. This step catches the thief monkeys. By the end of move 1, Sarah knows her real numbers, not what she thinks she spends, what she actually spends. And that's the foundation for everything else. Next up, Sarah looks at her savings account. It's got like $300 in it. If her car breaks down tomorrow, she's in trouble. If she loses her job, she's really in trouble. That's not a plan, that's gambling with bad odds. Move 2, boost your emergency fund. The classic target is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. If Sarah's bare-bones living costs are $2,000 a month, she's aiming for $6,000 to $12,000 sitting somewhere safe and boring, like a high-yield savings account. But that sounds impossible. Sure, if you try to do it overnight. Sarah doesn't need to hit the full target before 2026. She just needs to be closer than she was. So she sets mini milestones. First $500, then $1,000, then 1 full month of expenses. Think of the emergency fund like a financial airbag. You hope you never need it, but if something goes wrong, you'll be so glad it's there. Before 2026, Sarah's goal is simple. Add at least 1 more month's worth of cushion. Future Sarah will sleep way better.
Now, Sarah takes a hard look at her debts. Credit cards. That random store card she signed up for to get 10% off once. Maybe a car loan or student loans. Some of these debts are expensive, like we're charging you 22% interest and laughing all the way to the bank expensive. Move 3. Attack high-interest debt like it insulted your family. Here's the thing. High-interest debt is like a monkey sitting on your shoulder, stealing a chunk of every paycheck before you even see it. You can't build wealth with that monkey on your back. So Sarah makes a list. All her debts, the balance on each, the interest rate on each. Then she picks a strategy. Debt avalanche. Pay off the highest interest rate first. Saves the most money. Debt snowball. Pay off the smallest balance first. Quick wins, good for motivation. Sarah doesn't need to be debt-free by January 1st. That's not realistic for most people. But she can kill one credit card completely or seriously damage the balance on her worst, highest interest debt. Every dollar of high-interest debt she pays off is basically like getting a guaranteed 15 to 22% return. Show me an investment that promises that. Here's where most money advice gets annoying. Stop buying coffee. Cancel Netflix. Sure, those things add up, but they're not what's really killing Sarah's budget. The real budget killers are housing, transportation, and food. Move 4. Optimize your 3 biggest expenses. Sarah doesn't need to move to a van or start eating only rice. She just needs to get slightly smarter about the big rocks. Housing. Can she negotiate rent? Move to a cheaper place when her lease is up. Get a roommate. Transportation. Can she refinance her car loan at a lower rate? Switch to cheaper car insurance. Drive a slightly older, cheaper car. Food. Can she meal prep more and order delivery less? Shop sales and use a grocery list. If Sarah can trim even $150 to $300 a month from these 3 areas combined, that's suddenly $1,800 to $3,600 a year freed up for emergency savings, debt paydown, investing. Think of it like this. Cutting coffee saves you maybe $50 a month. Cutting one of the big 3 can save you $100 to $200 a month or more. Which monkey should you wrestle first? Before 2026, Sarah's mission is to cut one big expense win locked in, like a cheaper insurance plan or a permanent drop in her food spending. Next, Sarah checks something most people completely ignore: free money. Move 5. Make sure you're getting all the free money you're entitled to. If Sarah has a job with benefits, she might have access to a 401k or similar retirement account with an employer match, an IRA or Roth IRA, an HSA, health savings account. Let's focus on the employer match for a second. Here's how it usually works. Sarah's company says, if you put in 5% of your paycheck, we'll add another 3% for free. If Sarah isn't contributing at least enough to get that full match, she is literally walking past a pile of money and saying, "Nah, I'm good." That's not being humble. That's being a financial monkey who doesn't understand free bananas. Before 2026, Sarah's mission is to increase her 401k contribution to at least grab the full employer match. Maybe open or fund an IRA if she's got extra capacity. Check if she's HSA eligible and use it to save for medical costs tax-free. This is one of the highest return moves she can make. It's free, it's legal, and most people still don't do it. Now, Sarah looks at her actual investments. She's got an old 401k from a job she left 3 years ago, a brokerage account she opened once and forgot about, maybe a random stock she bought because someone on TikTok said it was the next big thing. It's a mess. Move 6. Review, rebalance, and cut the expensive stuff. Sarah does 3 things. 1. Check her asset allocation. Is she accidentally 90% in one single stock? Is she wildly overweight in tech or one sector? That's risky. She wants a sensible mix based on her age and risk tolerance, usually a diversified blend of stocks and maybe some bonds. Number 2. Rebalance. If one part of her portfolio exploded and now dominates everything, she trims a little and buys more of what's lagging to get back to her target mix. Number 3. Check fees. If Sarah's funds are charging 1% or more in fees every year, those fees are like tiny monkeys quietly eating her returns. Over 20 to 30 years, high fees can cost her literally hundreds of thousands. She looks for low-cost index funds and ETFs, ideally expense ratios under 0.5% and way lower if possible. Before 2026, Sarah doesn't need a perfect portfolio. She just wants diversified, not random, low fees, not expensive, intentional, not I forgot this existed. Now we get into slightly more advanced territory. Taxes. Move 7. Use simple, legal strategies to lower your tax bill before year end. Sarah isn't trying to become a tax ninja. She just wants to stop giving the government more than she legally has to. Here are a few moves. 1. Tax loss harvesting. If Sarah has investments in a taxable account that are sitting at a loss, she can sell them, lock in that loss, and use it to offset other gains, which reduces her tax bill. Then she can buy something similar to stay invested. 2. Charitable giving. If Sarah's going to donate to charity anyway, doing it before December 31st can help with tax deductions if she itemizes. Some people even donate appreciated investments instead of cash, which avoids capital gains tax and still gives a deduction. 3. Retirement contribution timing. Depending on her situation, pushing a bit more into tax-advantaged retirement accounts before year-end can lower her taxable income. Think of taxes like a mandatory toll booth. You can't avoid it completely, but you can take the lane that costs less. Before 2026, Sarah just wants to make sure she's not accidentally tipping extra. This move is boring but powerful. Move 8. Close the leaks and use what you're already paying for. Sarah hunts for 3 things. 1. FSA money. If Sarah has a flexible spending account, some of that money might expire at the end of the year. Glasses, dental work, eligible medical stuff. If she's been putting it off, now's the time to use that money before it vanishes. 2. Dead subscriptions. Gym she never visits, apps she forgot existed, streaming services she signed up for during a free trial and forgot to cancel. Every one Sarah kills is an instant monthly raise. 3. Insurance audit. Does she have enough coverage? Health, renters or home? Auto? Life if needed? Is she overpaying for something ancient and overpriced? She shops around, adjusts coverage, and makes sure she's both underprotected and overcharged. This is the move that feels like cleaning out the junk drawer in your kitchen. Annoying? Yes. Necessary? Also yes. Before 2026, Sarah cancels at least 3 things she's been meaning to cancel for months. Now Sarah updates her financial scoreboard. Move 9. Pull your credit report and calculate your net worth. Part 1. Credit. Sarah gets her free credit report from a reputable source. She checks for errors, fraudulent accounts, old stuff that shouldn't still be there. If something's wrong, she disputes it. Why does this matter? Because a better credit score equals cheaper loans equals more money in her pocket every time she borrows. Part 2. Net worth. Sarah calculates assets, cash, investments, car value, anything worth money. Liabilities, debts, loans, credit card balances. Net worth equals assets minus liabilities. Even if the number is small, 0, or negative, she writes it down. That's her starting line. A year from now, she'll compare and actually be able to see progress instead of just guessing. Think of this like taking a before photo at the gym. It's not about looking perfect now, it's about having a real baseline to measure against. Finally, Sarah zooms out and asks herself, what do I actually want my money to do in 2026? Move 10. Set clear goals and automate as much as humanly possible. Sarah picks a few specific, realistic goals. Pay off my highest interest credit card by September. Build my emergency fund to $3,000. Increase my investing to $200 a month. Raise my credit score by 40 points. Then she asks, how can I make these happen without relying on willpower? She sets up automatic transfers to savings and investing right after payday. Automatic extra payments on debt above the minimums. Calendar reminders for key dates like FSA deadlines, contribution limits, rebalancing check-ins. The idea is simple. Willpower is like a tired monkey. It works great for an hour, then it gets distracted and wanders off. Automation is like a robot monkey that never gets tired and just does the work whether Sarah feels motivated or not. Before 2026, Sarah wants her money system to be 80% automated. That way, even on her worst, laziest, most unmotivated days, her money is still doing the right thing. All right, let's recap Sarah's 10 moves before 2026. Review cash flow and budget. Finally, see where every dollar actually goes. Boost emergency fund. Add at least one more month of expenses. Attack high-interest debt. Kill at least one account or seriously damage the worst one. Optimize the big 3 expenses. Lock in one real win on housing, transport, or food. Grab all free money. Maximize employer match and tax-advantaged accounts. Clean up investments. Rebalance, diversify, cut high fees. Use simple tax strategies. Tax loss harvesting, smart donations, well-timed contributions. Close leaks and use what you pay for. FSA money, dead subscriptions, insurance audit. Check credit and net worth. Fix errors, get a clear baseline. Set goals and automate. Turn intentions into systems that work without willpower. Sarah doesn't have to do all 10 perfectly. She just needs to do more than she did last year. If you copy even half of these moves, you'll start 2026 in a completely different financial place than you are right now. If you made it this far, drop a banana in the comments and tell me which move are you doing this week. Not someday, this week. Fixing your budget, killing a debt, finally grabbing that free employer match? Write it down, make it real. And if you want help with the next step, like exactly how to start investing those extra dollars you just freed up, check out the next video. If I started investing in 2026, this is exactly what I do. That one takes your cleaned up finances and turns them into a long-term wealth plan.